You're listening to Mind Over Markets, a podcast on trading psychology to help you build a bulletproof mindset. Here's your hosts, George Papazov and Mark Borscht.
And so imagine this. You are actually directly responsible for your results. And this is not something for a majority of people that are, used to the 9-to-5 life, the corporate jobs. This is not very commonplace in a corporate jobs. All right. Oftentimes in corporate jobs, whenever we do a project, etc., we're not the ones that are analyzing it. We send it off to who? To the boss. The boss analyzes it, and then the boss provides feedback, right? And that's why, especially when you think about keeping things like a trading journal, giving yourself honest feedback, it's very difficult for the majority of people because they're not used to doing it. They're used to having a boss that gives them the feedback. You did a good job. You did a bad job, etc. Right? So what you have to do is you have to be honest with yourself when analyzing your results. What was the cause of those losses? And so you can essentially break this down into two separate categories when you're doing this analysis of your results. The first category is you. It's a you thing. All right. So you fall into this category if, let's say, you have a strategy, but you're not following it. Or let's say you have a lack of discipline. You can't wait for the trade. You get FOMO. You start chasing. You get too emotional while you're in a trade. If that sounds like something that you can relate to, it's likely a you thing. You put that into the you category of the analysis. The other side, the other category, or the other bucket, if you will, is strategy. All right. So if you don't have a or let's say if you do have a strategy and you can say that you're honestly following it with discipline, with diligence, and with patience, and you're able to do that, but you're still losing trades, then it's likely that the strategy is an issue. All right.
Much less likely. I just think that if you have a strategy and you're following it, it would take you so long to blow out an account that somewhere along the way you would have said, look, the strategy is not working. Let me see if I can adjust it. I don't think following a strategy disciplinedly leads to a lot of account blowouts. It can, but that's not the fastest way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And so when you kind of look at these two categories, the you side of it and the strategy side of it, it's really quite simple. Is it the machine or the operator that's the issue? All right. If it's the machine, that's a relatively easy fix. As Georgie would say, with the strategy, if it's a strategy that's broken down and you're implementing it and still taking those losses, it's just a simple tweak that you got to make, all right, with the strategies. Whereas it becomes a little bit more difficult and there's a little bit more work required if it's you, right? If it's something that has to do with lack of discipline, if you can't wait to get into the trade, if you're revenge trading, if you're getting emotional while you're in a trade, right? That's psychology work that has to be addressed really before you keep on trading live or before your next live trade.
I love that. It's like, especially the operator machine market. I think that I use this analogy often. I might have even used it on a podcast already, but it's hard to write original material these days. So, what I usually like to think of it is if you went into Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes car, and you had a chance to drive that car, market, and he had I don't know what you drive, but let's say for the listener, let's say you have a Honda. It's a pretty reasonable car. I had a Honda before in the course. And so if you let Lewis Hamilton drive your Honda, I guarantee you he'll put in a better lap time than you will with Lewis Hamilton. I bet you couldn't even take the car for like the first turn. It'll be in the grass. It'll be laughing at you because it's not the vehicle. It's the operator. The operator will drive the crap out of that Honda. In fact, I remember there being was it David Letterman, I think? No, it wasn't. The guy with the big, long beard.
Oh, man.
He's got a Netflix show now.
Yeah. I know exactly who you're talking about. Was it not Letterman?
It might be, but...
It might be Letterman.
Who? No, it's not Jay
definitely
Leno.
not Jay Leno.
It's not Jay Leno. But, anywho, he was in the car. David Letterman, yeah.
It is David Letterman.
Yeah, David Letterman was in a car with Lewis Hamilton, and he was like driving the crap out of this Mercedes, like to the point that he's looking at David Letterman, he's laughing. He's like, look, the brakes just went out. And David Letterman looks scared. He's like, oh my God. And Lewis is like just throwing it through the corners with no brakes. It's like, it's not the machine, believe me, it's the operator. A good operator could do well with an average machine. And same thing with trading. It's how you're executing the strategy is more than likely to be the problem here. If you're following your strategy and you're blowing out your account, that's fantastic because you could use that information to improve your strategy.
Exactly. And this is kind of, a layup into the importance of keeping a trading journal. And I believe that was our previous episode on this podcast, the importance of keeping a trading journal, right? And so this step becomes, it's very crucial to have a trading journal, because if you don't have a journal, how can you analyze results? There's nothing to analyze. There's no data. And this kind of leads into that next quote. Told you guys we're going to have some quotes today.
I love quotes.
And this quote is from W. Edwards Deming. And this quote is, "Without data, you're just another person with an opinion."
I love it. I love that you chose this one. This is such a you quote. It's a great quote.
Right. And so first step, we'll just summarize so far. First step is you've got to accept responsibility for those losses. All right. You're going to feel, I can't promise you'll feel a sigh of relief, but you'll be at peace knowing that, going forward, you've learned your lesson and that you're going to be putting in the right processes going forward so that you can prevent that from happening and so that you can continue to progress towards consistent profitability.
And be empowered to change. When you decide to be responsible, you have the ability and power to make changes.
That's a good word, empowered. You're going to feel a lot more empowered once you accept responsibility for that. And second step, again, analyzing those results. Really, really be honest with yourself, guys. Trading is an industry that it's very, I don't want to say secluded, but it's very difficult to talk about trading and, your results with other people. And this is one of the reasons why community is so important. And this isn't to plug anything, but honestly, with a community, it's a lot easier to kind of go through these things, to accept them and to analyze them, because if you're sitting there in the bedroom by yourself, it's very easy to go down a dark wormhole, especially when you're hitting losses, right? It's very easy to say, this wasn't me, this was whoever's call. Maybe the market's just not trading the right way. Maybe this, maybe that. And that's not going to help you get to where, it's not going to empower you to get to where you want to. All right. So make sure that you are honest with yourself. You don't keep this away, because the longer that you keep it hidden and you keep it, away from the world, if you will, if you don't speak it out loud, speak it out to yourself, then it's just gonna sit there and it's just gonna build and build until you take the mother of all losses at one point. So,
and then you're out for good.
Exactly.
I love it. So step number 3, Marky.
Exactly.
What do we do after that? So we accept the responsibility. All right, we analyze our results. And then where are we at with step number 3?
We are at the step where we make a plan. All right. So after you guys have accepted responsibility for those losses, you have gone ahead and analyzed the results. Now you got to make a plan. All right. And we're going to liken this back to the 9-to-5 corporate lifestyle. All right. Trading is not a business where you can fly by the seat of your pants. All right. In a 9-to-5 job, I can't say I've ever done this, but in a 9-to-5 job, there are some jobs where you can go in, you can fall asleep for a little bit, do this and that, and you still get paid. In trading, if you do a bad job, you're losing money. That money is out of your pocket. So now imagine showing up to work, doing a crappy job, and at the end of the day, your boss actually comes to you and say, "You know what? You didn't add any value today, George, and for that, I'm actually going to charge you for today. You're going to be getting a negative salary on today's date."
That's never happened in my 9-to-5 job. Yeah. But it has happened in trading. But 100%, though, I agree with you, Marky, here. It's it's very important that you understand that if you're doing performance pay, it could go either way.
Exactly. And so you need a plan to execute. All right? You need a plan to execute. And the traders that are closest to breaking through and finding success are those that are disciplined, emotionally sound, have trading experience, but don't necessarily have a concrete plan. And so what is a concrete plan? Well, a concrete plan is going to have everything. and I mean everything laid out in this plan. For example, something like when you will get in, what hours you're going to be trading, when you'll get out, how much you can lose in a day and still keep trading. How about how much you can lose in a week and still keep trading? What about a month and still keep trading? At which point do you walk away for the day? At which point do you add risk to trades? At which point do you, size up on trades? At which point do you reduce size on trades, et cetera, et cetera? So making a plan is going to be crucial.
Thanks for listening to the Mind Over Market podcast. You can find us at TradeProAcademy.com.